Hi guys, so this is for all you teachers out there. I just want to kind of show you guys, if you guys have like students that are really young, how really young students that have, kind of smaller, was it fingers and bodies and stuff. It's always a challenge for them to play guitar, and the last thing you want to do is actually teach them full chords for the guitar, because it's such a physically demanding instrument. More so than I'd say the piano, because the piano, it's like just pressing keys, and kids can do that fairly easily. But as far as like actually holding down strings, it takes a lot more effort. It's like really like a workout. So thing is, if you do want to teach your kids chords, well, there's two ways to like teaching guitar. Is really start from the ground up, where you only play individual strings, and what you want to do is you really want to promote good technique with arched fingers, and try to really get them to I guess obey some axioms of guitar playing. For example, having your thumb not up here, alright? This is a very common mistake, but right behind, so your fingers are actually more arched and more, I guess you say, in line with the fretboard. But the thing is, that takes a lot of effort and time, and kids these days, they just don't have that kind of patience. And honestly, I'm kind of losing, I lose a lot of patience with students sometimes too. So a lot of times, it's like they just want to learn chords and songs, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'd say kind of do a little balance of both the technique, and then kind of like as like a reward treat, teach them like some songs, And when you do teach them songs, you have to teach them chords, right? So I'm gonna kind of show you today some. You probably already know this, but some shortcut ways of playing chords. Maybe that could possibly help them. So let's start with the chord that every guitarist plays, which is the G chord, right? Everything is in G. I mean, you get a capo and then just play like you're playing G, right? So we're so used to that. The problem is with the full G chord, you're using all four fingers with the modern kind of voicing. Before it used to be like this, right? A lot of times we play like this, but a lot of modern songs, contemporary songs, we play like this, where we use all four fingers. But obviously for a beginner, even sometimes intermediate player, this is just too much to handle. So what's cool is the G chord can be really simple, and all it is gonna be, we're gonna use our third finger and then put that on the third first string, third fret right here. All right. And if you're a teacher, I would recommend that they put their third finger right in the middle of the fret. All right, teach them that this is like the first position. And all you do is just play the first four strings, and voila, you got a G chord. Now you say that might look familiar if you play ukulele. Well, that would be the C chord, right? In the ukulele chord. But for the guitar, all the way down here would be the G chord. So you can tell them you're learning two instruments in one. You're learning not only guitar but ukulele chords. You can't really say it with like piano or any other instrument, can you really? So that's cool. Okay. So I think they could manage that versus this, right? And there's variations you could do, with just one finger, all right, on the first string. You can actually play the second fret, and you're gonna play G major 7, which is already a complex chord if you think about it, right? Major 7 chord, and you got a G7 chord, so you can play some blues if you want. So there's just some simple ideas that you could do with just one finger chords on the first string. The next chord will be the C chord, right? Which is this, or sometimes we do like that, right? Again, 3 fingers, with my experience, if you do 3, 4 fingers, it's just too much for a student, especially if it spans 3 frets, because they haven't really learned to stretch out their fingers yet. So the simple way of playing a C chord is just put your first finger on the second string first fret and just play the first 3 strings. You can kind of get away if you play 4 strings. Still sounds like a C chord. But yeah, you can just do that and that's a C chord. So, you know, if you do a simple G chord, C chord. Okay, let's go to now the really hard chord for beginners, which is that D chord. You know, the D chord's a very oddly shaped chord because you gotta put 2 fingers and like 1 fret, you know, and they're both a string apart, and it is kind of an awkward kind of chord shape, isn't it? But there's a way of playing this D chord without making it sound, or without playing all 3 fingers. Meaning, if I put down all 3 fingers, right, you have to ask yourself, can I not put down a finger, you know, all 3 fingers to make it a little easier? And I say yes. You don't need your 3rd finger. However, there's a little caveat. If you don't use your 3rd finger, then what you need to do with your 1st finger is mute the 2nd string. Okay? So if you play, you know, 4 strings, D, sounds like a D chord, right? Let's compare that to just 3 finger, the regular 3 fingers. Okay, so when you compare that to this, essentially all the notes are there. So you really, in the beginning, you really don't need to put down the 3rd finger, and that could possibly help, you know, a student. So you gotta use 1st, 2nd finger like this, or you could do middle and ring finger, 2nd and 3rd finger like this. Now there's 2 reasons, you know, you could do like this and like this. If you do like this, it's easy to do a full D chord later on, right? And if you do like this, you can learn the D7 chord just by putting your 1st finger down, right? So those are some options that, you know, you guys can do. Okay, so we covered the G chord, the C chord, the D chord. Okay, well, in the key of G, you've got to learn the E minor chord, right? Now, it isn't necessarily hard to hold because you don't have to stretch out, but you have to hold the bass strings. So for a student with smaller hands, that could be very challenging because it might be hard for them to hold down the bass strings, right? Because they're kind of fat and, you know, have more tension. So, again, with the idea of, can we play this E minor chord without putting down all our fingers? Well, yes, we can. I say, just leave your middle finger down. Alright? See, I'm not playing with my 3rd finger, right? Now, if you don't mute the 4th string, that's technically what we call an E minor 7 chord, right? You could get away with that, but usually E minor 7 chord, like that chord shape. But we're talking about beginners, so you could tell them to mute or just this 4th string. Okay. Now I know technically this isn't really good technique because we don't want to be muting strings and stuff, but sometimes we can use muting to our advantage. And this is the few cases where you can do that. So, if so, do so. So, yeah, you could sometimes do like E minor, just 1 finger. That's only the 5th string. When you compare that to, it's virtually like, you can't tell the difference. It's really hard to tell the difference. Very hard to tell the difference. So, just use 1 finger. Okay. There's a couple other chords that I like to mention. For example, the A chord, right? Once we get to the A chord, we can play the key of D. Now usually we're used to this one, right? The 3 fingers down here, right? However, you know, putting like your 1st, 2nd, 3rd finger, especially like, you know, 1 fret, is really hard because you're like, there's not enough room, right? Now, if you notice, you have your pinky here, right? That's the smallest finger. So what you could try doing is, second, third, and fourth finger like that. That could fit better. Or if you want to take the, less is more approach, all right, just leave your second and third finger down and just don't even play your pinky. And that could be like an A chord, right? In fact, this is very common voicing. We call it like A2 chord, right? So you can just teach them that. And the thing is, if you look at this chord shape, you can just say that this A2 chord has the kind of the shape of an E minor chord, right? But it's just moved down, two string or a string each. Playing too bad. Okay, and finally, one of the hardest chords for beginning intermediate students to play is like the B minor chord. I've kind of found like two remedies to this. If you guys know the A minor chord, what you could do is, if you want to play the B minor chord, especially in the key of A, this works best in the key of A, is to just take the A minor chord and just slide it up to the 3rd fret. Just take kind of this chord shape that you know and just slide it up to the 3rd fret. Now this, you said, well, this doesn't really sound like a B minor chord. But the thing is, if you're in the key of A, it could work if you have a B minor chord. So it kind of works, doesn't it? Sounds pretty good. However, what if you want to learn a B minor chord that would, possibly, fit in pretty much most keys? Well, there's this shape right here. This is kind of a more advanced shape that might take some beginners, time. So, but if you have an intermediate player, they could probably learn this. So what it is, it's kind of almost a variation of a B7 chord. You guys ever played this chord before? Chord that's, it's kind of hard. I never really teach the students a B7 chord like in the beginning, okay? But this is similar. So your second and third finger are gonna be where, in that B7 chord, like on the 5th and 3rd string, right? 2nd fret. And then we're gonna put our pinky on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now the one thing you gotta watch out or tell your student is that when you play this B minor chord, you can't strum all the strings, just mainly the strings that are the interior, so from the 2nd to 5th string. That's kind of a B minor 7 chord, but it doubles as a B minor chord. So you could try that. And I find this chord shape useful because, it's not that hard to go from that B minor chord to that B7 chord, right? So, Alright, so let's kind of review the chords that we learned, I talked about today. So the simple G chord, simple C chord, the simple D chord, or like this, the simple E minor chord, just one finger, right? The A2 chord, and the 2 versions of B minor. So these are some things to try out, student. So especially beginning students that have trouble physically with playing the guitar, because I guess it's okay to try to find some shortcuts, but while you're teaching and to play the chords, make sure that they obey some few axioms, that of good guitar playing. Like your first finger, for the most part, should be, you know, higher in the fret, and you do want to play with arched fingers versus flat fingers and stuff like that. So you can still apply the same rules, but you can also simplify the chords also.